Welcome to the Voices of Reason. I'm your host, Yard. Today we have two special guests. That'd be Troy and Jenna Skinner. Jenny.
Yep. Jenny. Yep.
Jenny.
Nice to have you on the show today.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So
thanks
tell
for
us a little bit about the book that you wrote today.
Oh, you know what? It's a true story about my life. It became a #1 seller in 9 different countries. It's a true crime story, but obviously not here, so I'd have a lot more money than I had. But it's just a true story about my life, about what I used to do, being a drug user and a drug dealer. And so, it just kind of covers my life of being, I guess, an unsavory character, if you will.
Okay. So what started you writing the book process? Was it like something that was in the making, or did you just want to start as something else?
No, you know what? What started me writing is when I got busted in 2000. Okay, I was sitting in jail. I was facing 20 to 40 years because we got busted with 800 hits of ecstasy.
That's a lot.
And a half pound of cocaine.
That's a lot.
So, while I was sitting there, I'm like, I need to start being a productive person in our community and society. So, I just kind of sat down and started writing all these thoughts down on paper. Like when I was 11, my brother was 13, and he had a friend that was 16, and so I saw my first drug deal when I was 11 years old. It was 5 pounds of weed because my brother's friend had it, and so I just kind of sat down and started writing all the stuff down on paper that I had done. And I never realized it was going to turn into a book, So.
No, that's an early age.
Yeah.
What kind of steered you away? I mean, did you wanted to do that, or like, as being a normal kid, like what led you to that life?
You know what? When I saw the money off that first drug deal, okay, when I saw the money, and back in the 70s, you gotta realize this is back in the 70s now, that was a lot of money for a kid back in the 70s, a lot of money. So I started thinking, wow, okay, that kind of money, a person really don't have to work an 8 to 5 job, to make that kind of money. That was easy, Okay, and most 11-year-old kids are not thinking about that, They're thinking about, I don't know, playing in the dirt or hopscotch, or I guess that's more for girls or whatnot. Playing with army men. Like I said, back in the 70s, we didn't have the internet back then, and all the gaming going on. So, yeah. But I was kind of thinking of that, and I saw the money of it, and so, instead of doing all that, I actually took up to studying organized crime in the 5 major crime families, and started learning about the bosses and underbosses and how it works as a, more or less, it's called a commission, but they run it as an actual great big business company.
So actually, you kind of like took it to like, per se, a career level.
Yes, I treated it like a job and took it. You could say at more of a career level, yeah.
Yeah, that's big time right there.
Yep. But when you're 11, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like when you started writing the book, was it just based on that part of the life, or was it different aspects of the life? And is everything gathered in one, or is it sectioned off?
No, it's all pretty much when I was born in Fremont, and then I moved out to Lake Minnetonka. A lot of people don't know where that's at, living on the lake, so I just, I say by Chimney Rock in the Panhandle. And so from when I was 11, it's pretty much all about the book. And, each chapter I wanted to, my producer and editor, I wanted to show people that even though I did this, I didn't want to be glamorized about a bunch of drugs and booze and money. Even though it was fun at the time, it was glamorous, but at the end of each chapter, I wanted to get a message out there to people that are in the lifestyle or kids that are thinking about getting into it or whatever, that there's a consequence you have to do. Whether you have to go to jail or prison, or you have to defriend somebody.
Your family and friends.
Family. So I wanted to get a message out there at the end of each chapter, but it's pretty much all about using drugs and being a drug dealer and scams and schemes along the way.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you were in that type of life, You know, was there anything else that you wanted to do? Was there like any other hobbies that you probably took up? Because, you know, even when you're in that kind of lifestyle, I mean, that's not the only thing you focus on.
Correct, it's not. I loved hunting and fishing. I still hunt and fish to this day, you know, and so I did a lot of hunting and fishing, but you can't do that constantly. You can't do that every day. And so, but when I got older, my late teens, you know, I'd met a couple bodybuilders along the way, and a couple guys that played in the NFL that actually played. One played at Wayne State College, Brad Otis, still kept friends with him to this day. The other one, Zach Wiegert, that played at Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
He was the 94, 95 champions when we took back-to-back.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
He played for them then. And so I wanted to get into bodybuilding. I started getting into bodybuilding, and Brad Otis helped me along the way. In the off-season, we'd train together. He'd train me real hard because he'd come back here because at the time he played for at the time it was the LA Rams.
Oh, okay.
And so he'd come back here and he'd train me. And I started getting into bodybuilding. I wanted to become a professional bodybuilder in the IFBB, which is, IFBB is like the NFL, NBA.
Yeah.
International Federation of Bodybuilding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once let's say like when you started the book, I mean, was it in between that life or was it at the very end where you decided you want to write a book? I mean, how did the process come about? Like, hey, I think I'm gonna write a book about everything I've done, or from this point in my life to now.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, you know what? There was really never any thoughts of writing a book. It was just when I sat in jail that last time, I was just like, I cannot do this forever. I need to do something different. And so while I was sitting there, I started writing everything down on notebook pages, and actually, when I wrote it all out, I kind of read it, and I actually threw it on the shelf. So it actually sat on the shelf for about 10 years, 8 to 10 years.
You threw it on the shelf for 10
Threw it on the
years?
shelf. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, okay. I met her 6 years ago, my wife, lovely wife, Jenny. And about 9 months after we met, I think it was about 9 months after we met, she started 9 months or 12 months, something like that. I told her I wrote this book. No, you didn't. She picked it up. Long story short, she read it, and she was like, "You got to get this out there. You got to get this out there, and so people can get the message, you know, that hey, it's not all glamorous. You know, there's consequences." So she was the one. We wouldn't be sitting here right now, and she was the one that actually pushed me to get the book published and edited and producer and get it out there. She was without her, this book wouldn't even exist.
Okay,
she's
so
the one that pushed me. Yeah.
So your other half decided to push the book out. I mean, what made you push him to get the book out?
Well, a couple things. I felt it was really important to get his story out because it was just, crazy all the things that he did, and to get his message across. But also, writing a book is a feat in itself. You know what I mean? And getting something from notebook paper to the book, is, because not everyone can say, oh, I wrote a book, and published it, So I'm like, that's really neat. So there was that factor. And then just the fact that he had done all that stuff and,
If you read the book, a lot of stuff in there, like a lot of people they watch the movies or they read the books about crime and drug dealers and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a little fantasy. I think a lot of people kind of fantasize about it, but I actually walked around the block twice.
Okay.
And so when she saw, like, geez, you not only walked around the block once, you walked around twice. There was a lot of things that she didn't actually believe when she read it. She's like, that didn't happen. Well, what I did, fortunately, every time I got a ticket with law or had a jail stay or whatever, I kept all those tickets or kept all my book in, book out sheets. I showed her, and so she's like, wow, that really did happen. Well, and then the people she started meeting along the way, some of the people that are still kind of kept me as a friend, that still kind of stayed good friends with me, like Gary Haynes and Polly Clenard and Joey Bergmanis. She would ask them if this really happened or that really happened.
Oh, okay.
And when she told them, yeah, or when they told her, yeah, it did, then she, that's when she really pushed it for me to get it down into a book.
And what I did like the most is that at the end of each chapter, he does say a consequence, whether if it's hurting family or friends or whatnot. And at that point, I was getting clean myself. And so I felt that was really important because those are the sides of things that you don't see or people don't talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, she was
So-
getting clean off of drugs herself.
Okay, so right around the time, was it before or after the book where you guys met?
No, it was after the book.
It was after the book, so you
Yeah.
wrote the book, and then you met your wife, and she pushed you to.
Yeah, because I told her I wrote
book
it, but it wasn't in book form yet.
It's just
it was
on
just on
notebook,
notebook paper
yeah.
form.
Oh, okay.
It was just all on notebook paper. And so after I met her, I told her about it. I let her read the notebook papers. It was all down on notebook paper, and that's when she looked up and found Lisa with Concierge Marketing, and they're the ones that published it for me, became my editor and producer.
Oh, okay. So tell us some things what drew you away from that kind of a normal life, because, sometimes some people choose crime, but then sometimes crime choose them. Like, do you fall into the category?
I think half and half with me. I think it kind of chose me. I just had a natural act at thinking of, I don't know, for lack of better words, scams and schemes along the way.
Yeah.
And then I think I chose it some too because I saw how easy it was and how easy it is to pull off these scams or schemes or just become, just a drug dealer. It's just, it's very easy. The people is your products, and like you had said.
Yeah.
And so I think it was 50-50 that.
And he was good at it,
Yeah, it was just it was
Makes
something I
sense,
was really good at.
Yeah, he was really good at
Yep.
it, so.
And now that, not obviously 17 years not doing it now, so I got popped in 2000, and now what we do now is just kind of basically, like what everybody else does now. We own a company called the Window Guys Window Cleaning Company. I started that in '97, so even before I stopped dealing, I started that.
Okay.
And then, so we concentrate on that a lot. We still go to the gym every morning, and then, and I'm not going to sit here and say that, we're boring and I don't do anything wrong anymore.
Yeah.
I guess now that I'm adult, drinking's not wrong. So, but we still go out for some cocktails. We go
Okay.
to the O-Bar at 156th and Pacific and
Center.
Center. I'm sorry, 156th and Center. But the difference is we go over there from like 3 to 5 or 3 to 6.
Okay,
We
so-
don't go there from 10 on. That's
you
when
just have
the
a
younger
normal
ones come
life.
out. That's when the more trouble comes out from 10 to 1, 2 in the morning. That's when the more trouble comes on.
Okay, so do you see yourself writing another book or, trying to make a second edition or a kind of an add-on? I mean, do you see yourself as an author, as a future author or anything?
I don't. And again, I got to give a shout out to Jamie and Heath and Jared. They're the owners of the O-Bar. Jared doesn't own it with them anymore. He kind of went on and did his own thing. But she was the one that came up, again, she came up with an idea that she's like, hey, you know what, maybe we should do some book signings. So we walked off the street, found this place called the O-Bar, 156th and Center, walked in, talked to Jared and Jesse and Heath. Can we sit up here? And then we put a big banner up behind us, and can we do a book signing, sign some autographs, and sell some books? And so they were the first ones. They kind of read the back of the book, summarizes it. They're the first ones to give us a chance. But as far as writing a book and becoming an author, no. Just because if I wrote another book, it would be pretty boring what I've already done and what we do now. It'd be pretty boring. It'd be talking about us working out, running the company, making sure the company stays successful, and we travel.
Well, you can add different kind of subjects, or like let's say if you do start another book, you already have one area. One area always leads to another.
Right.
You could kind of get that
Right,
going.
and I could. I guess I could add on to this stuff, but I try to really put everything in there that really stood out. A lot of the stuff in it, I guess I could do a second edition, like you were telling me earlier. I love one of the because with this here. You got the razor blade and the lines of cocaine.
Yeah.
Gun is a controversial matter. It always will be. Always
Yeah.
has been, always will be. Drugs, controversial matter. It's just a lot of negativity. You came up with the idea of just a scale and little people on the scale.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was a great idea. I thought it was a great idea. So I guess I could come up with a second edition to the book and add a little bit more in
If
it.
we did, then it would start, because in the book, I'm his fiance.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not,
so
we
we're
weren't
married
married
now.
yet.
Yeah,
And so, like, if there was the second version, we would go on to start how we start our marriage, and how I got
together.
clean officially, with him.
Okay, so
And-
basically after the lifestyle you had and the bust. I mean, did you ever have any regrets? Did you,
No.
want to, no regrets at all?
Nope, no regrets. I would do this all again in a minute, just because if you go back and you change one thing in life, I wouldn't be with my wonderful wife that I am now. I wouldn't be here talking to you. I wouldn't be on the show Voices of Reason.
Yeah.
When I met all you guys.
We wouldn't be here. If I changed one thing went wrong. Let's say one of the times I got busted went south, and let's say I did 10 years off of it, I would have never met her. Let's say if I did those 20, 40 years, I would have never met her. So I would do it all again in a heartbeat, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay.
You know.
So in the middle of the, the life spree that you had, I mean, so you did a little bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, how did you kind of get that in between? Because, sometimes, that life is kind of fast and it also can be busy. So you
Right,
kinda
very busy, very political. People don't think the bodybuilding is that political, but it is. You got to put in your dues, go to these shows, work your way up the ladder, But I just kind of always knew that I wanted to do something other than dealing and using drugs my entire life, And so that kind of went real fast for me, and went to Florida and met these two guys from one of the 5 major crime families. I don't think I can tell.
I wouldn't say their name.
Yeah. But anyway, met them guys, started pipelining it back here, and then I was like, wow, this is getting really big. I always wanted to do this, work for a crew, and it kind of happened real quick. But at the same time, I gotta come up with something else different. I mean, I'm either gonna get shot, found dead in the field, or be in prison for the rest of my life. So I met a couple great big bodybuilders along the way, and I'm like, you know what? I'm short enough to do that, because the bodybuilders you see on TV, they're not 6 foot plus.
Yeah.
NBA, NFL, those are all great big guys.
Yeah.
I'm not that big of a guy. All the bodybuilders you see are between 5'2" and 5'8".
Yeah.
Lou
That's
Ferrigno
true.
and Arnold Schwarzenegger are the 2 of the tallest bodybuilders there is.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and it's ironic that when I met her, she is originally from LA.
Oh.
Venice Beach, bodybuilding mecca of the world.
Yeah.
Moved to Vegas for 10 years, moved here. I asked her, she started asking me about my bodybuilding career. Had a bunch of trophies and medals. She'd never seen a bodybuilding show ever.
Never?
Never.
Every
Wow.
other
You're
sport.
from the bodybuilding mecca of the world. You've never been to a show.
In California, it's year-round, so we were involved. I was in gymnastics for my first half of my life, and then my brothers were in baseball and football and soccer. So it was just foreign to me. And then when I saw that, and I was just like, wow,
She did gymnastics for 13 years.
All right.
And so I told her I was going to do one last show then, so she can see. So I trained extremely hard for that last show. I said, that's it, I'm done with it after this show. So I busted my rear end and did that last show, and then, because they came to Omaha, that was an IFBB qualifier, and so I did that show. And all these years I spent becoming a professional bodybuilder, I actually got my professional athlete or professional bodybuilding card that night and made it into the IFBB.
Okay.
The last show that I said I was going to do, because it takes a toll on your body. It really does. Doing the bodybuilding, it takes as big a toll on your body, almost as it does as doing cocaine, because it's a full-time job while I'm trying to work the Window Guys company. I mean, so.
So let's say when you started writing the book, I mean, did it take a long period of time? I mean, was it just a lot of crumbling up the paper and throwing it over the shoulder? I mean, what kind of idea, what sparked it?
Actually, no, it didn't take a long period of time. Actually, I actually wrote the book while I was in jail. I started writing down on notebook paper. When I got out, I actually wrote all this probably in about 2-3 months. Had it down on notebook paper.
Oh, okay.
That's when I threw it on the shelf. I read all of it, I threw it on the shelf, so it didn't take me that long to write it. What sparked it is that I was just thinking back out of all the stuff I'd done, and I'm like, I'm just gonna write this down on paper. I mean, wow, I've done a lot of stuff that I've been around the block 2-3 times, and some of the stuff that I've done, people would never believe. People would never believe it. So I'm gonna write this down on paper, maybe put it in the book. After I read it, I'm like, whatever, threw it on the shelf. And then when I met her, when she read it, like I said, she was the one that pushed it through. It's like, you gotta get this out there. People are not gonna believe these stories unless you get it out there.
So once you wrote it, it was like, you wrote it, you read it, you was just like, maybe I should just
Yep.
throw it up there, and that was it?
Yep, that was
I mean,
it.
you never had the whole intention of pushing the book out. You just
Nope.
no,
Nope.
not at
after,
all.
After I read the whole thing, not really.
Yeah, he said it was like a, like a maybe, and I'm like, well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
And
about it,
so-
but it was a soft maybe. It was just kind of a play around with it until she read it.
and meanwhile,
she's
this
talked to
is-
some of the friends that still. she
That's
talked
when
to-
it got serious.
Yeah, she talked to some of the people that still remain my friends after all the bad stuff I'd done. And when she started finding out, yeah, all that stuff's true, that's when she pushed it through.
Because this was our first year of our relationship, so I was still getting to know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
And
the whole process of the writing, the publishing, the getting it out, like how far did it, like where did it go? Is it just here in the United States, or is it?
No, it actually went to a #1 seller out of true crime stories in 9 different countries, like I had said earlier. But obviously not a #1 seller here. But it's gotten out there a lot. I've done a lot of talks with youth groups. I've had parents call me up, ask me to talk to their children, their daughter or son, whatever. And the one thing I did find out along the way is that you don't want to tell teenagers or kids not to do something. You tell them not to drink or do drugs, they're going to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so I don't tell them not to do it. I say, hey, if you're going to do it, go ahead and do it. And I always get their attention. When I tell them that, they're like, oh, he's telling me to do it. No, I didn't say to do it.
Yeah.
I said, if you're going to do it, do it. But if you're going to do it, when you read this book, you got to step back a minute and say, this is where you're heading. This is probably what's going to happen. It happens to 9 out of 10 people that get into using drugs real heavy or become a dealer. You're gonna do some time along the way somewhere. You're gonna get busted. You're gonna have to
Start a record.
You're gonna have to be foul or mean to family members or friends along the way.
Yeah.
Or you might end up in a field somewhere dead.
That's not good.
And so that's what I try to get out there is that, hey, ask yourself if you're in the game, are you ready to go down that road? Because that's gonna. And how many of them say, no, not me.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yep, all the time.
End up in
All the
prison
time.
or dead.
Yep.
So.
Prison or dead.
So you've done a few speeches and talked to a few people
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep.
throughout the whole process of the book.
After the book was published and edited, I started talking to some youth groups in schools and high schools. And like I said, the O-Bar let us set up and do a book signing there. Went to Norfolk, Nebraska to my friend Brad Ossett, played for the LA Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. Mm-hmm. He let us set up and do a book signing there at his bar. He owns a bar in Norfolk, Nebraska now.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how that came to be because he's from Fremont. Him and Zach Wiegert from Fremont. And I believe Zach lives here now, but I don't know how he, anyway, he ended up having a bar in Omaha or Norfolk, Nebraska. After playing the NFL, I think he would stay in LA or Arizona or something, but he came back here. So
you met some of those friends through the process that you did, your past life. That's how you met some of those guys.
the more important people in my life, well, I shouldn't say more important because they're all important. Like Gary and Paula and Joey and stuff, they're all important. But the professional people that I knew in life, they didn't know that this was going on. Okay. I did this stuff at dark, after the sun went down, I was doing this stuff. And I just don't think that's someone that you want to let professional athletes or whatever, or if you got a real big career, I don't think that's someone that you want to let, hey, by the way, I use a lot of drugs and I'm a drug dealer.
Whoa, no.
And so.
That's a lot to say.
Yeah, yep.
So he kept
And
that
so
a secret.
I kept that a secret.
That's a good thing.
From those kind of people, and then, then he has good friends who are still around,
No, as long as you got enough support, that's the great thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best thing right there.
Yep. At the very end, the last chapter called The Beginning of the End, on the last chapter is when I started really wanting to associate myself with other people, pulling back from it,
Okay.
And it's ironic that when we got busted, the 2 guys from one of the crime families, I want to make sure I don't say the crime family's name.
Yeah, once again,
Yep,
don't do that.
Yep. So it was my brother Rowdy and I and the 2 guys. I was starting to pull away from the life at that last chapter, okay? And I wanted to be something different. I'm like, well, bodybuilding and running the window cleaning company. And so I told the guys, I said, hey, this is it. Tonight's it. That's when we had the 800 hits of ecstasy and the half-pound of cocaine.
Yeah.
This is it, you guys. I'm done with it after tonight. And so I introduced them 2 guys to all the major buyers, players, whatever you want to call them. And so I said, tomorrow I'm it. So they were going to kick me back a percentage. And that was it. I was done. I was done with the life.
Wash
that night
your
ended.
hands.
Wash my hands. I was done. That's the night we got busted.
I think that all happens to everybody.
Yeah, you always say that one more run. That one more run gets
Be
you.
the last thing.
When you tell yourself, all right, I'm gonna make one more run, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million, it's that last run that gets you. Just like George Young in the movie Blow.
Yeah.
That was when he did that last one. If anybody ever watched the movie, he does that last one. And at the very end of the movie, they have that scene where they're busting the doors. Yeah. And he's like,
See, sometimes I don't
Let's
think
do it.
it'll be the actual run itself. I think it's people saying this is the last one. I think that's where it gets to people to be like, oh wow, you know, because you've been doing this. You've done it repeatedly. It's just when you sat there and say that wrong thing. This is the last time I'm doing it.
You're
and then
done.
something goes wrong.
Something goes wrong.
It doesn't matter what subject it is, but
It
Yeah.
doesn't. Something always goes wrong.
Always.
The guy that got us was, we knew the guy for 5 years. He, I won't say his name either, but he I don't know if he still is, but at the time he was a stockbroker here in town, and he got pulled over for a DWI, and he only had 3 pills of ecstasy on him.
oh, that's
He
still enough.
didn't want to get the DWI. He was afraid to lose his license, so he gave up. My brother and I and the 2 guys from the family,
Bad deal.
all hook, line, and sinker. He gave up everything.
Okay.
He gave us all up. So he comes back for a buy that night that they got us, the last night. And so, yep, that was it. It was
That
over.
was
with.
it. That was it. It was over.
And we knew this character 5 years.
Hey,
You know, like you could have taken your DWI, you probably would have got probate. Never, ever been in trouble before, ever. Never.
well, that kind of, that kind of life, man,
Yep.
kind of gets people out the way, but you
Yep.
know.
You're
can't-
always going to be dealing with snitches.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank
once
you.
again,
Thank
this
you
is
for
Voice-
having us.
Oh, it's no problem,
Thank you
man.
for having us.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you.
Justin,
Thank you.
thank you very much for having us.
No
Enjoy
problem.
being here. Enjoy being here. I
This is
hope you
Voices
check
of
out
Reason. You can check out the book, and
On this
Yeah.
crew of mine.